I am mama to a medically complex little girl, and one of her things is that she only eats via a G-tube for right now. And when we were discharged from the hospital with her, one of the things we were sent home with was an IV pole, and we didn't really think of it at the time, but once we got home, it became clear very quickly that there were a lot of issues with the IV pole, and we're grateful that we had it, but we found a better solution by now. And that solution is the FreeArm, and I'm going to explain why that is. There were two big things for us. One of them was that my daughter is fed in what's called an open vented style. So the end of her feeding bag tube here does not attach directly to an extender. Instead, we hang this inside of a large syringe that's had the plunger pulled out, and then her extender would attach to this. But the IV pole did not have anything to hold the syringe for us during her feeds, and she eats over quite a long period of time. So it wasn't realistic for us to live our lives and then interrupt it every couple of hours to sit here holding a syringe for her, especially because we have another child, or we, need to be going to doctor's appointments and stuff like that. So that wasn't helpful. So what we ended up doing was tying pieces of string like from the IV pole and then making a knot around the end of this, and then it would hang very precariously at an angle. And anytime we wanted to move her, we would have to scoot the chair and then roll the IV pole a little bit and little, and it was ridiculous. So we didn't have the freedom really to move around that much when she was on her feeds, which again is quite often for a long period of time. We couldn't even go out to our backyard because there's a step down between our house and the outdoors, and we couldn't get her chair, which she had to be sitting in, and the IV pole through our door at the same time. And even if we could, then there's the issue of her being attached from her G-tube through her little extender to this, which is hanging off the IV pole. So we didn't even have freedom within our own house to go anywhere, much less trying to take her places during a feed. It was a really big hassle for us. So having the open vented situation was pretty hard for us, just having the IV pole. And we tried all the at home hacks and stuff, and it was just kind of surviving, but it wasn't a great option. The other thing is because IV poles are so large and they do look quite medical, anytime someone walked into our house or we came home, you just instantly have this feeling of we're in a hospital. And with that is all those associated feelings that people have with the hospital, even ourselves, even though we're pretty used to hospitals, like your second home, right? It's still not a great feeling to have in your house. And we know not all of that can be eliminated when you have a medical kid. That stuff's still there, but to us it was a very large object, blaring in your face and the faces of anyone who walked into our house. It made them a little more uncomfortable than you would need to be with something like this, just because of its association. And IV poles have that large base, which for some reason we didn't really notice in the hospital because you're just used to it. But then you get home and you're tripping over the base of this IV pole all the time, or stubbing your toes on it in the middle of the night. And if we did happen to bump into our IV pole and we got it to move enough, because it was attached to this, it would tug on our daughter's belly and cause, again, a myriad of issues. So we were doing okay, but it was not good. Having the IV pole, tube feeding was a hassle. And then we found out about the FreeArm, and I almost lost my mind. I was so excited. It has been genuinely a helpful item. It is fantastic, and I recommend it to people who don't even have G-tubes or feeding problems, or people who don't even need it. I just talk their ears off about this thing. We had to go into a new hospital for us, and I took this with us, and all the nurses were gawking at it. They were so excited. So it can be taken in to the hospital. I know it's not really in frame here, but that's how big it is. This is just attached to our chair. So it's really easy to take this with you anywhere. To clarify, this is our own chair. The FreeArm is just this clip, this little arm piece, and this clamp. So we can take this off and attach it instead to a stroller or to a park bench, or if you're someone who does more traveling, hook it up to a desk at the hotel or whatever it may be. It's really easy to take it with you anywhere, as opposed to trying to fit an entire IV pole in your car. I do not have a large car, and we tried to stay the night somewhere. No, it was not good. So this is much easier because it is more portable for us. We can attach it to lots of different locations. It is a nice pink color, matches her little chair. For little girl, matches some other stuff that we have. They also have options of being in blue and green and white if pink is not your thing. So this, like I was saying earlier, one of our issues even in our home was that we were restricted in where we could take her during her feeds. But now if she's in the middle of feed and we want to take her over to the kitchen so she can be a part of what's going on or see things that are happening, or if we want to go out to the backyard, I can just pick her up in her chair and move her around. This is so much easier. And because it has this nice big clip, it just holds our syringe for us. We don't have to worry about it. This is not flying in the wind like we were doing with our little piece of string attached to our IV pole. This is sturdy. This is not going to go anywhere. We can turn it if we want to, because it has a certain type of joint here. So it's like, think ball and socket joint kind of thing. This can rotate around to wherever you need it to go very easily. I'm not putting a bunch of pressure on that. And you can see it has two hooks here. And for us, we use that hook to hang her bag. Obviously this isn't an empty one, but just showing you. We hang her bag from here. And then we can attach her pump. We have the infinity pump. This is the clamp that comes with the pump, and we attach it. You do not have to attach it to this little metal piece that's on here, but you can, and that's what we choose to do just because the level works out for us. So we can then attach the tubing through her pump. It's super easy to do. And then, like I said, because she is open vented, we had been using posies or like Velcro wrap to get this tubing to stay in here, because sometimes it wants to like pop out. But with this, and I'm sure this was not the intended design, but it's an added bonus, is that you can take this tubing and hook it through, wait, you can't see that. Turn. You can take this tubing and hook it through that bottom one, and now it's not gonna go anywhere. So I'm sure that, again, was not the intended design purpose, but it works. And it's great because it's one less thing for us to worry about, or one less piece for us to take with us. Like, oh shoot, do we have the posy to wrap the thing around to make sure that this stays in the syringe? we don't have to worry about it. The FreeArm just does it for us. So you can take that out of there very easily. Another nice thing is that this arm is bendable. You can move it. Because this is the muscle version, this arm is pretty sturdy, so it does take us 2 hands to maneuver if we need to, but sometimes our girl will fall asleep on the floor, and if she's passed out on the floor sleeping, we can bend this arm down to her if we need to, and again, move this to wherever it needs to be to then feed her while she's laying on the floor and not have to wake her up and put her in her chair and get her resettled, because that never worked. She just always would wake up. So it's really nice to just let the sleeping baby who needs her rest sleep and adjust the FreeArm to where she's at. And that can be done really easily. You saw me. You can move this, move it up wherever you need it to go. The other thing is that, again, this is probably not the intended design purpose, but if you have all this extra tubing that you have, we will sometimes wrap it up and then hang it from this bottom metal bar that is part of the clamp here. It's kind of acting funny because there's not formula in it right now, but we can hang our extra tubing from there, and then it's kind of tucked under her chair so that our other child, a toddler, doesn't go ripping by and trip over this or pull it apart and cause some issues. So that's another nice thing that we found about our FreeArm, is that it keeps everything more compact, tighter in. So it has solved our issue with needing something to hold her syringe for open vented. Obviously that would work as well if you're doing gravity feeds. It has solved our issue with at-home mobility, just taking her places around the house, upstairs, downstairs, outside, just to a different room, something that simple. It has solved our issue in going out and about and needing those same things wherever we're at. And it doesn't look so medical. Like, this is a lot smaller, a lot nicer to look at, and a little bit fun. It's always a little bit fun when you can kind of personalize your own medical equipment. So we appreciate that. We appreciate that they offer different colors. It solved the issue of, you know, bending things down to reach her wherever she may be at. Or if you are doing a gravity feed and you need to change the level that it's at, you can do that pretty easily by just moving the arm. And it has a couple of like nice little added extras as far as keeping the tubing hooked through here, so we don't have to worry about bringing an extra Velcro strip or posy or whatever it is we're using. And it keeps her things tucked away nicely underneath her chair. So we've really enjoyed our FreeArm. It has made life a whole lot easier. We have a lot of things going on in our lives with having a medical kid. So not having just that little extra stress of having to remember all the things or having this giant IV pole has made our lives a lot easier and a lot nicer, a lot less stressful to work with. So we love our FreeArm, and we would recommend it to anyone who has a G-tube and thinks that those things are something that they're missing in their lives right now. It's an incredible product, and I'm so glad that the founders of this company made it. We are very grateful for you, so thank you.